You asked about a shooting that we just had in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It was an act of domestic terrorism.
Tonight, new clashes between anti-ICE demonstrators and federal law enforcement in Minneapolis.
This is also a community on edge. There are roughly 80,000 Somalis living here in the area.
And so in speaking with several people who currently live there and work there in that city.
At 4:47 in the morning, the historic neighborhood along Portland Avenue South in Minneapolis was completely still. Streetlights reflected off frozen sidewalks, and the soft glow from the porch lights of Victorian homes barely cut through the winter darkness. Inside those houses, families slept peacefully, unaware that anything unusual was about to happen. For them, it was just another quiet, freezing Tuesday in January. Outside, however, the street was slowly being overtaken by a silent force. A line of armored black SUVs rolled into position without sirens. Their headlights were switched off a block away. More than 250 federal agents from the FBI and Immigration and Customs Enforcement moved with precise coordination. They were not dressed in standard patrol uniforms. These agents were equipped for combat, wearing heavy body armor, carrying ballistic shields, and using night vision equipment. Every movement was calculated, every second mattered. Their target was not a cartel hideout in the desert or a gang warehouse in an industrial zone. It was a large, elegant private residence with trimmed hedges and a freshly cleared driveway. This was the home of a sitting judge. At 4:52 a.m., the command was given. The silence shattered as flashbang grenades detonated inside the foyer. Federal agents stormed the house, shouting commands as glass shattered and alarms echoed. The neighborhood woke up in chaos. What followed was not the reaction of a confused homeowner. Agents breaching the entrance were immediately met with armed resistance. Inside the house were 21 guards positioned in hallways and stairwells like a trained unit. These men were prepared to fight. Whatever was hidden inside that home was worth protecting with their lives. But within minutes, federal agents would uncover something more dangerous than drugs. Behind a false wall in the basement, investigators found documents that threatened to shake the entire state justice system. This was the beginning of the collapse of Operation Infiltration, a criminal conspiracy so deeply embedded that it had turned the American justice system into a tool for organized crime. For years, the people of Minneapolis trusted Judge Hassan Doyle. He was viewed as a symbol of fairness, a man who had risen from poverty to serve the community. But federal investigators now allege that this image was carefully crafted. According to them, his judicial robe was nothing more than a disguise. The raid did not begin that morning. It started 24 hours earlier with what appeared to be a routine traffic stop. On January 7th, police stopped a vehicle driven by Renee Good, a 37-year-old local woman. The situation escalated quickly. She shouted about her rights and accused officers of conducting an illegal stop. Bystanders filmed the encounter, and the video spread rapidly online. Millions watched it. Many believed it was another case of police abuse. But the cameras never saw what was hidden in the trunk. When agents opened the rear compartment, the entire narrative collapsed. Inside were 80 kilograms of high-purity methamphetamine wrapped in heavy black plastic. Beside it was $2.3 million in vacuum-sealed cash. This was not a civilian having a bad day.
Now, New York Times is reporting 6, but we know about at least 3 initially that stepped down. This news came out today, and they did this. They resigned from their positions entirely, not just the investigation.
This was a courier transporting a multi-million-dollar shipment. Under interrogation, the courier remained silent, but her data did not. Investigators analyzed her travel patterns and financial records. They discovered that her delivery schedule matched the court calendar of Judge Doyle almost perfectly. Financial forensic teams then uncovered the most damning evidence. Over the past 5 years, $417 million had moved through shell accounts connected to the judge. There was no legal explanation for that amount of money. Transfers moved across Europe, the Middle East, and East Asia, carefully timed to coincide with major drug-related rulings in his courtroom. Defendants linked to cartels received reduced sentences. Evidence was suppressed. Delays became routine. The judge was not impartial. He was on the payroll. Federal command realized they were dealing with a super facilitator, someone using legal authority to guarantee the safety of narcotics shipments. But one question remained. Where was the operation physically stored? A residential house should not be able to process tons of drugs. 3 hours before the raid, the FBI deployed high-altitude thermal imaging drones over the property. They searched for heat leaks. What they discovered made no sense.
They've seen a lot of this, a lot of the confrontation, but they do say that it's isolated to certain parts of the city, specifically.
The ground behind the detached garage glowed intensely beneath the frozen soil. Massive airflow was venting from underground. This was not a sewer line, it was a ventilation system for something large and hidden. When the raid began, the firefight inside the residence was fast and violent. The guards moved with military discipline, using cover and firing down narrow corridors. Bullets ripped through drywall and shattered chandeliers. The air filled with smoke and debris. Federal agents responded with overwhelming force, using flashbangs and ballistic shields to advance room by room. Their goal was capture, not execution. Within 10 minutes, all guards were restrained. The house was secure. What agents found next confirmed their worst fear. This was not a home. It was a logistics hub disguised as a mansion. Behind hidden walls, they discovered 900 kilograms of narcotics.
City and state lawmakers are going to demand that the FBI cooperate with Minnesota's Bureau of Criminal Apprehension on this investigation.
In the basement, metal crates held another 1.4 tons of heroin and synthetic compounds. Suitcases and floor safes overflowed with cash. The total seized from the residence alone reached $74 million. Outside agents focused on the heat anomaly behind the garage. Beneath the floor was a hydraulic lift leading to a reinforced underground tunnel. The tunnel was equipped with lighting, ventilation, and a conveyor system. This was not an escape route. It was industrial infrastructure designed for long-term operation. Upstairs, cyber specialists seized 5 encrypted computers from the judge's private study. The systems were still active. Analysts froze them before remote wipes could occur. What appeared on the screens was shocking. The computers tracked narcotic shipments across the entire state.
Take a look at this video. This was from the early stages of the investigation on Wednesday, just as the scene was getting processed. We reached out to the U.S. Attorney's Office for more information on why they're denying BCA access.
Every data trail led to one place, the port. Files revealed clearance codes used for 7 years by 12 port officials. These men used their legitimate credentials to override security check. Shipments passed through customs in under 9 minutes. The judge was not just a local boss, he was the gatekeeper. His house was the brain, the port was the mouth of the operation. The next shipment was scheduled to clear customs in less than 2 hours. There was no time to wait. Federal teams redeployed immediately. By 6:22 a.m., convoys smashed through port security barriers. Agents split into teams, securing customs offices, warehouses, and docks. Resistance was brief. When Warehouse C was breached, agents found 1.1 tons of heroin, 800 kilograms of fentanyl, and industrial quantities of synthetic drugs.
A lot of agents in the metro today, and Operation Metro Surge had some people cheering their efforts. Other people, though, like Governor Tim Walz, were angry that it was happening at all.
Investigators arrested the 12 port officials. Bank records showed monthly payments between $280,000 and $1.4 million. They had sold access to the system. The final attempt to flee by tugboat failed. Another 420 kilograms of narcotics were seized. By noon, the operation was over. In total, 5.5 tons of narcotics were confiscated. More than $74 million in cash was seized. But the most disturbing number was the human cost. Analysts believe this network supplied enough synthetic opioids to fuel overdose waves responsible for tens of thousands of deaths. Judge Hassan Dwale now faces multiple life sentences. His guards are in custody, port officials are indicted. Minneapolis is left with a harsh reality. The most dangerous criminals are not always hiding in the shadows. Sometimes they are the ones wearing robes, sitting in courtrooms and signing warrants. At sunrise in Minneapolis, the port was sealed. Tactical teams had taken control, and the chaos of the morning raids gave way to grim order. Warehouse C, officially a frozen food facility, revealed its true purpose. Stacked pallets of heroin, fentanyl, and synthetic narcotics ready for inland distribution. Across offices and docks, investigators uncovered the shocking truth. 12 port officials had been systematically approving shipments, signing off on criminal cargo for years. Every illicit container had been cleared through a network protected by Judge Hassan Dwale, who had turned his courtroom into a tool for cartel operation. Meanwhile, federal agents had secured the judge's mansion. Behind false walls, they found nearly 2 tons of narcotics and over $74 million in cash. Beneath the snow-covered ground, a reinforced underground tunnel connected the house to the port, creating a hidden distribution network stretching from the city into national corridors. The scale of the operation was staggering. For years, synthetic opioids and other narcotics had flowed unchecked. protect, safeguarded by political and judicial corruption, fueling addiction and claiming tens of thousands of lives. Judge DeWale, once respected in the community, now faces federal charges including racketeering, narcotics trafficking, and conspiracy. His guards and the complicit port officials are also in custody. The network he protected has been dismantled, but the ripple effects of its operation, overdose deaths destroyed families and compromised trust, remain. This operation proved one undeniable truth. The most dangerous criminals do not always kick down doors. Sometimes they sit in positions of authority, signing the warrants and deciding who the law protects. Minneapolis witnessed the dismantling of a criminal empire hiding in plain sight, a stark reminder that vigilance, transparency, and accountability are the only defenses against corruption that thrives under the guise of respectability. The raids, arrests, and seizures have shut down a citywide network, but the investigation continues. Federal authorities are determined to uncover any remaining links and ensure that no similar system exists elsewhere. For the public, the message is clear: corruption has consequences, and no one, no judge, no official is above the law.